Welcome back for another deep dive with us. Have you ever felt like, there's a deeper purpose to your life,
Mm,
but you struggle to connect with it? You know that feeling?
yeah.
Well, that's exactly what we're going to be exploring today.
Well, cool.
We've got some fascinating material to dive into, some transcribed philosophical lectures,
Interesting.
and even some personal conversations, kind of a mix of stuff. But get this, it's all centered around this idea of a spiritual exile. Have you ever heard of that?
I have, yeah.
Okay. Well, we're going to be unpacking that and this idea of the Greek within. And get this, how even if you don't fully understand it, studying Torah can actually connect you to something bigger. What do you think about all that?
Well, I think what's really intriguing about these sources is how they present this whole yearning for purpose, right? This feeling that something's missing. It's like there's a battle going on inside of us
Of battles.
between two souls. Like, think of it this way. You've got the animal soul and the divine soul.
Okay, two souls I'm following.
So the divine soul, it's like a prisoner yearning for freedom, right? But it's held captive. And guess who the jailer is?
I don't know who.
The animal soul, constantly whispering, justifications for just staying put, for not rocking the boat.
Oh, wow. So is that what that feeling is then? When you feel stuck? Like something's missing even when, you seemingly have it all?
Yeah, it could be, right. It could be the divine soul trying to break free.
Hmm. And that could be like what spiritual exile really is.
Exactly. It's like being in a foreign land. Longing for home, but feeling totally disconnected from what you're truly meant for, from your true purpose. Think about times in your own life, right, when you felt unfulfilled, even if on the outside things look pretty good. That might be the tug, the pull of your divine soul trying to get your attention.
Wow. That spiritual exile idea, I gotta say, that really hits home for me.
Yeah, it's powerful. And what the sources suggest is that just recognizing it, just being aware of this feeling is like the first step. It's the beginning of breaking free from that exile.
That makes sense. But how do we actually break free, though? How
Yeah.
do we escape this internal jailer, this animal soul that wants to keep us stuck?
Right. Well, one of the sources uses this really interesting analogy. They talk about the Greek within.
The Greek within.
Yeah, it represents all those distractions and temptations that keep us trapped,
Right.
in that state of exile.
Okay, so what do the Greeks have to do with this?
So historically, it refers back to the Greeks actually trying to force the Jews to abandon their traditions, like way back then. But you can see this playing out even today, right, in our modern world.
Oh, yeah, totally. It's
Yeah.
like that pressure to fit in, right?
Yeah.
To chase all the latest trends, to be cool, whatever that means.
Exactly. And it's all those distractions that keep us from pursuing something more meaningful, something deeper.
Yeah, yeah. You should be working on that passion project, the thing that really lights you up.
Right.
But instead, you find yourself, I don't know, endlessly scrolling through social media or binge watching something.
Ugh, yeah, I've been there. And that's where Torah study comes in.
Okay, how so?
The sources really emphasize Torah study as a powerful way to actually combat this Greek within, to reconnect with that divine soul inside of you. And there's this great story about these two Hasidim.
To a seat?
Yeah, they arrive in America, right? Brand new world, all these new temptations. And one of them kind of gets swept up in all of it, conforms to all the societal pressures. But the other one, he stays true to his beliefs and his practices, even in this totally new environment.
It's like he had that internal compass
Yeah,
guiding him back to his true north, no matter what distractions were swirling around him.
exactly. And the sources, they really emphasize that even if you don't understand every single thing in the Torah,
Mm-hmm.
the act of engaging with it, the act of studying it, it connects you to a higher will. It's like tapping into a source of strength that's beyond all those fleeting trends and distractions.
So it's not necessarily about, comprehending every single word or interpretation.
Not necessarily, no. It's more about connecting to that wisdom, that deeper wellspring that can help you navigate all the complexities of life.
That makes me think about this concept of sealed oil, which is something else that comes up in these sources.
Oh yeah, sealed oil, powerful imagery, right?
Yeah, this idea of a pure, untainted connection to the divine. It's like in the Hanukkah story, right? Finding that one uncontaminated container of oil to light the menorah.
Exactly. It's like discovering that untouchable essence within you, that thing that no external pressure can extinguish. It's always there. And this leads to another really fascinating idea that we see in the sources, this whole concept of the power of names, but the unchanging nature of essence.
Names in essence.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Yeah.
How are those two things connected?
Okay, so think about it this way. You use different names, right? For
Mhm.
different purposes.
Right, yeah, like my email has a different name than, what I use for work or for social media.
Exactly. But those names, they don't actually change who you are at your core, right?
That's true. It's like different, I don't know, different facets of the same diamond or something.
Yeah, great analogy. And the sources apply the same logic to understand how God interacts with the world. God's name, God's will, it permeates everything, right? Even the seemingly mundane stuff. But it doesn't actually change God's essence, God's true being.
So it's kind of like recognizing that, that higher purpose, that divine presence,
Yeah.
even in those everyday moments of our lives, the things we might take for granted.
Yeah, exactly. And to illustrate this further, one of the sources uses this analogy of an architect creating blueprints.
Okay, an architect. I like where this is going.
So imagine, right, an architect meticulously designs every little detail of a building. They pour their vision into those blueprints, and then eventually the building is constructed. It's a physical manifestation of what the architect imagined. But the architect themselves, their essence, their being, it remains unchanged, even though their will is expressed in that, in that tangible form, that building.
So we can see the architect's intention, their design, in the final product.
Yeah.
But the architect themselves is separate, right? It's like a guiding force behind the creation.
Right. And this is really helpful because it helps us understand how seemingly random events in our own lives, right, things that just happen, might actually be connected to a higher purpose.
Oh, wow. That is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Because it suggests that maybe there's a bigger picture that we're all part of, even if we don't always see it.
Exactly. So the question is, how can we, as individuals, how can we start to grasp this idea of unity and purpose?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's what we're going to explore next. So how do we even begin to understand this concept of like unity and purpose? It's easy to feel like our lives are just a bunch of random events,
Yeah.
especially when things get kind of crazy. You know what I mean?
Totally, totally. But one of the sources uses this analogy, a really helpful one, I think, to try to explain this.
Okay, you lay it on me. What's the analogy?
Okay, so think of a soccer team, right? You've got all these different players with their specific roles.
Okay, yeah, like the goalie, the defenders, the midfielders.
Right,
Yeah.
Exactly. And then you've got the strikers.
Yeah, the ones who score the goals.
Exactly. So you've got all these different players with their distinct responsibilities, right? But they're all ultimately working towards that same goal, winning the game.
I see. So even though all their individual actions might seem separate on the surface, they're united by this shared objective.
Precisely. And just like on that soccer team where, different players have their strengths and weaknesses, we each have these unique roles to play, right? In this larger purpose.
Right.
Even if we don't always see how it all fits together, like we don't always have that big picture view.
I love that. That's actually really empowering. It's not about comparing ourselves to others or trying to fit into some predefined mold.
Right.
It's about embracing what makes us each unique, our individual talents, and using those to contribute to something bigger than ourselves.
And this actually brings us back to that concept of sealed oil that we talked about earlier.
Oh, yeah, sealed oil.
If we think about sealed oil as our unique potential,
Yeah.
like that divine spark within each of us, then maybe our role is to nurture that spark, to let it shine and contribute to this unified purpose.
So instead of chasing all those, fleeting trends or trying to fit in and be like everyone else, we should be focusing on cultivating that inner light, that connection to something greater.
I think that's what the sources are pointing to. They suggest that by doing that, by focusing on that, we not only fulfill our own potential, but we also contribute to this harmony and purpose of the universe itself. It's like we each have this unique piece of a giant puzzle. And by embracing who we truly are, we help complete the picture.
I love that imagery. But, it's one thing to talk about all these concepts. It's another to actually put them into practice.
Oh, absolutely.
Where do actions come in?
Well, action is key, right? One of the sources actually states that, and I'm quoting here, the activity of the brain should lead to action, to doing something good. It's not enough to just think about these things. We have to take what we learn, all these insights, and actually translate them into concrete actions, actions that benefit ourselves and others.
So studying Torah, connecting to that higher purpose, cultivating that sealed oil within, all these should lead to positive action in the world.
Right, and the source emphasizes that this applies regardless of our circumstances.
What do you mean?
Like whether we're going through good times or bad times, experiencing joy, sorrow, success, setbacks, it doesn't matter. We can always strive to act in a way that aligns with our understanding of that divine will.
So it's not about waiting for that perfect moment or the ideal conditions to do something good. It's about making choices every day.
Exactly, yeah. Choices that reflect our commitment to this purpose.
That's powerful. But, let's be real. Life throws curveballs, right? We all face challenges. How do the sources suggest we navigate those?
Well, they're very realistic about that, actually. They acknowledge that there will be obstacles on this path. We'll encounter difficulties, we'll feel discouraged, maybe even tempted to just give up altogether.
Yeah, I've definitely been there. What do we do when those moments hit?
One suggestion is to focus on strengthening our inner resolve.
What does that mean?
Like becoming like a stone that can withstand all those external pressures.
Right.
Building up that resilience and inner strength that can't be easily shaken by outside forces.
So it's about cultivating that unwavering core, that sense of self, that can weather any storm.
Exactly, yeah. And they also emphasize the importance of community, surrounding yourself with a supportive network of people, like-minded individuals who share your values, your aspirations. You don't have to go it alone.
That's so true. The power of community is huge.
Yeah.
Having people who understand you, who support you, makes such a difference. But what about when things get really tough? What do the sources say about finding meaning in those really difficult moments?
They encourage us to reframe those challenges. Instead of viewing them as, defeats, see them as opportunities for growth.
Opportunities?
Yeah, exactly. Just like a muscle, right? It grows stronger through resistance training.
Right.
Our spirit, our inner being, it can grow stronger by overcoming obstacles, by pushing through those tough times.
Yeah, it's easy to get so caught up in those day-to-day struggles.
Yeah.
And to kind of lose sight of that bigger picture, that perspective.
Yeah.
But reframing challenges as opportunities for growth, man, that's powerful stuff.
It is. It is. And it kind of brings us back to that question we've been, circling around this whole time. Where do you fit in all of this? In this grand scheme of things, we've explored, the two souls, the animal and the divine. We've talked about that feeling of spiritual exile, that Greek within, all those temptations and distractions,
Right.
and the power of Torah study and action, and names and essence. We even touched on that architect analogy, this idea of unity in purpose.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot to take in, I know.
My mind is definitely buzzing right now. But what really stands out to me is this idea that even though our individual lives, they might feel messy, and unpredictable.
Oh, yeah.
They're all somehow contributing to this larger expression of that divine will. It's like each of us is a brushstroke in this massive, intricate painting.
I love that. That's a beautiful way to put it. It really emphasizes that we each have something unique to contribute. It's not about, comparing ourselves to others or trying to be someone we're not. It's about tapping into our own sealed oil, that pure potential that's within each of us, and using it to make our mark.
Right. But as we talked about, uncovering and expressing that sealed oil, it's not always easy. It requires confronting those internal struggles, those Greeks within that are always, kind of tempting us to stray from that true path.
Yeah, it's a constant battle. It really is. And we have to be, vigilant about those voices, right? The ones that tell us to settle for less, that tell us to prioritize comfort over growth, that want us to just give in to all those distractions.
Yeah. Those voices can be so loud sometimes.
Well, remember, you're not alone in this. The sources, they remind us that Torah study, connecting with a supportive community, focusing on positive action, these things can really help you stay on course.
It's like having a toolkit, right?
Yeah, exactly.
For navigating those inevitable challenges. So when those doubts creep in or when you're feeling lost or discouraged, you can turn to these practices. You can reconnect with your purpose and find your way back.
Absolutely. And it's really about remembering that even those small actions, those seemingly insignificant choices we make every day, they can ripple outward. They can create this positive change. It's like, think of that soccer player, right?
Yeah.
Who might not score the winning goal, but they make that crucial pass that sets everything up.
Oh, yeah, I get it. So it's
Yeah.
not just about understanding these concepts intellectually.
Right.
It's about embodying them, letting them guide our actions,
Hmm.
and trusting that even when we can't see those immediate results, we're contributing to something much bigger.
Beautifully said. It really is a journey, a process of continual learning and growth. There's no finish line. It's about embracing all of it, the ups, the downs, the challenges, the triumphs, and using it all as fuel for our spiritual evolution.
Well, this deep dive has definitely given me a lot to think about. I hope you're feeling the same way. I mean, we've covered a lot of ground. But I think the biggest takeaway for me is this sense of interconnectedness,
Hmm.
right? This idea that we're all part of something much greater than ourselves. And that each of us has this unique and vital role to play in that grand scheme.
It's a perspective that can bring a lot of meaning and purpose to our lives, even amidst all the chaos and uncertainty of the world.
So as you go about your day, your week, your life, remember those two souls within you. Remember that constant battle between them.
Hmm.
Remember that feeling of spiritual exile and the tools that you have to overcome it. Think about that sealed oil within you, just waiting to be discovered and shared with the world. And above all, trust that even when you can't see it, you're a part of something truly extraordinary.
Keep seeking, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.